All right. Calling in from Philadelphia is Scott Sunderland. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing so good. So
Awesome.
glad to be here, Jerry, with you. Honestly, it's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, same here. I mean, when we got the introduction from Interview Valet, I go through, some due diligence. I look at the website, I look at the one
Mm.
sheet they send, but then I go a little bit extra and I start looking for interviews you've done, videos that might be on YouTube. And so when I'd done that homework, I reached back to, I think it was Karen Schwab, who had set us up. And I said, hey, yes, yes, definitely yes. And then we got to talking, and then you're like, hey, here's the rest of my team. And then I was already reading their bios and already thinking that it'd be great to have the whole team on. I wonder if we do like a joint 4 person. And then you like already pitched. I'm like, there we go. We're going to have 3 different episodes with this team from Freedom Project 222. It's going to be awesome. And so
I love it.
definitely glad to have you on here. And you said you're about to go nomadic. Before we hit record, you were talking about you guys are packing up and going on an adventure, almost Hobbit style, but no Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily Hobbit style, but because we have a 40-foot fifth wheel that's brand new and is like a castle inside. So, but yeah, I mean, we're packing everything up here. We just came up to Pennsylvania to where I was born and raised for the last month and a half. I guess we've been here. We recently moved to Florida, and now it's a little hot in Florida. And I got to be honest, it's a little hot here and it's a little humid here. So we figured, why not head out west where it's 100 degrees,
Yeah, why not?
and we'll just travel around. Honestly, God, I think Florida is the coolest place almost
Could
in the
be.
country now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really super exciting. It's super
Nice.
exciting.
Yeah. And that's like the power of financial freedom and just, modern technology also. I know another podcaster, Tim
Oh yeah.
Winders from Seek, Go, Create, and he and his wife been traveling nomadically for, I think, a decade now. And he's
Mm.
been consulting all from probably not a Winnebago, but, an RV and
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah. I mean, listen, they make them very nice these
yes.
days. They're pretty impressive. I was extremely impressed. I mean, they are not like camping. It's full on a house on wheels.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, definitely. They put the mobile in mobile home,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the home
Super
in mobile
cool.
home.
Super cool.
So it's really nice. So you are one of 3 members of a team that leads a website and an effort called Freedom Project 222, and I've taken a look at it. I just love the premise of it. Um, why don't you go ahead and tell folks, what Freedom Project 222 does, and am I saying 222 correctly, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we say Freedom Project 222,
222.
but they're numbers, right? Um, yeah, what we do is we help people connect back to who they really are.
Nice.
We forget, I definitely have been down that road. I forgot who I was. And when I say I forgot who I was, I forgot the power that I am and had to relearn it the hard way. Took a long time. My partner and wife had to do the same thing. She had to leave a life of abuse and a lot of different traumatic episodes. And my partner, Simon, basically, watched his wife die of cancer and
Hmm.
had to heal from that. And we came together. We met at a meditation retreat, and we found it, as we like to say. We found that peace. We found that power. We found that strength. We found that freedom. We found ourselves, and we had watched so many people struggle with losing their identity, becoming the father that just gets up at 5 in the morning and takes the train and drives into a job that he hates, and only to be coming home at 6 o'clock and running off to baseball games and everything else that what parents do, and the mother that's just the mother forgets who she is, and they just became lost.
Yeah.
And that's what we help them do. We help them reconnect to who they really are, the power of the mind and the power of the body and what it takes us to, and overcoming whether it's anxiety, depression, physical ailment, doesn't matter.
Nice. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what we
that's so
do.
powerful. Yeah, I mean the essence of like who we're targeting with this show from day one. Actually, prior to day one of Beyond the Rut, there was a team of 3 of us that had started the show. But the person we wanted to reach and still want to reach is that man who's 30 to 40 years old, or in his
Mhm.
30s and 40s, married with children, has a great corporate life. You know,
Mhm.
the job that everybody envies, manager of
Mhm.
something, director of something, top salesperson of something. The car is a nice car. Like, it's the one that turns heads for anybody who knows cars. The house is that 3 or 4 bedroom home, two bathroom home, 2 car garage,
Mhm.
maybe white picket fence or not, but it's in that
Mhm.
nice neighborhood. Yet that's on the outside looking in, and on the
Yep.
inside, that man wakes up in the morning, dreads the drive to work,
Mhm.
and dreads the day that's ahead of him. And it could be a woman.
Mhm.
So they just dread the day that is ahead of themselves, and they get in that car, they drive to work, and it's just like, traffic. And then they got the
Mhm.
day. And at the end of the day, they've put their best efforts into that job they hate. They now got to get back in the car and go through that same rush hour traffic or that train ride back home. It could be an hour. And there's a family there waiting for, mom or dad to plug in and be 100%. And they've got
Mhm.
nothing left. And
Yep.
there's like no hope for the future. There's just that question. And I think I heard you kind of allude to it. It's that, am I nothing more than this routine? This day in and
Mhm.
day out rut that I'm stuck in, and so that's beyond the rut, and so it's like, yeah, there's a big part of having to remember who you are. What was it you were born to do and gifted to be, and what is that life you want to see for yourself in the future. And so I really love that you've got a team of 3 people who go through a variety of techniques. I mean, you offer courses, you offer coaching. I can't wait till I get to talk to Em and learn more about
Mhm.
breath work.
Mhm.
'Cause I'd never heard of that before. And I started looking
Yeah.
into it. I'm like, this is awesome. This is, people need to do this more often. Just breathe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and you own it. That's the craziest thing, and I
yeah.
mean, honestly, it's changed my life. I honestly can say that is breath work and meditation has absolutely changed my life.
Nice.
180-degree turn.
Now, with your clients, there's probably a trend that you've noticed. What is probably the most common thing that has steered them away from knowing who they are? Like, how do they forget who they are?
It's usually them being in the proverbial room on fire.
Mm,
That's usually what gets them to say, "Okay, I've tried everything. I've tried therapy." If it's like a depression or an anxiety or just unhappiness, right? The
yeah.
unhappiness. And I've tried everything and I'm willing to see what you can teach me here. Or it's somebody that has, some was diagnosed with some disease, cancer or something like that, and saying, why does this keep happening to me?
Hmm.
Why am I keep attracting relationships that this person turns into what I don't want? Why is that? And it's very simple. It's just a habit.
Yeah.
It's a habit that we learn at a very young age and we don't realize it. We're blind to it. And it's just like you said, that guy driving to work every day. It is this, we are just almost, we become robots and everybody else is doing it. So, well, it must be the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. I'm living proof. I have, I have gone through tragedy. I've been, paralyzed and lived inside this mind that just won't stop because I had a childhood that wasn't ideal, but it was great for me. I'll be honest. Um, but I took in a lot of stuff, and that just keeps revolving around that brain. And it wasn't until I started to really shut that down. But it took the bed, it took the tragedy in order for me to say, okay, enough. I need to stop this. I need to figure out what is going on. Who is Scott Sunderland? Who am I? Because I am lost here, man. And I need help. And that was the moment for me. You don't have to get to that point. You don't have to be in the bed. You don't have to see, watch someone, die that you love in front of you. You just have to make the decision. You know what? This just isn't how it should be.
Yeah.
And maybe there's more.
Yeah. And for you who may not know or not be aware of Scott's story, yeah, in 2001, he was a 36-year-old carpenter doing construction work for a variety of different projects. I mean, that was his business. And just started to notice like his body was slowing down, and before he knew it, he's in a hospital bed, can't move, and he's suffering from a syndrome. I'm not even going to attempt to say it, so I'm going to let Scott say it what it was. But yeah, he was bedridden for for a while. And so, what was the name of that syndrome again?
Guillain-Barre.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't try it.
Yeah, it's an autoimmune. It's a pretty rare autoimmune, and of course, I got the bonus. The bonus plan. I
Yeah,
got the good one. It was pretty serious,
yeah.
but it was a teacher for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. How long were you bedridden? Like you couldn't move for the longest time.
Yeah, I was in hospitals for about 4 months. I think it took me
Okay.
about a year and a couple months to fully recover, to be able to walk and talk again and feed myself, all the things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But it was the big wake up call. It was, it really was my body just saying, you got to stop listening to that thing that is on top of us, your head. You gotta stop listening to the voice. And we keep trying to tell you, we're tired. We're tired of the stress. We're tired of you running us 18 hours a day, just giving of yourself nonstop. And we've tried to tell you, but you just don't listen. So we're just going to turn the computer off for a while, and we're going to see how you react. And you're not going to be able to do anything. And ready? Player one, go. And that's when the
Yeah.
lights went out. And
Wow.
it literally happened in 2 days, from, that man, that father, that husband, to a vegetable. No reason why. There wasn't a train involved, a car involved, falling on my head involved, nothing. It was just came out of the blue. And that's why I knew, hey, man, I created this in some way. It's trying to teach me something. I'm going to listen. I'm
Yeah.
going to finally sit down and listen.
How long were you in that bed, not able to move, that you came to that realization and that acceptance?
You know what? I knew it. I knew it pretty
Right
much
away.
right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I kind of got, after the first week, I kind of got the diagnosis. The first week, 2 weeks, they thought it was a real serious form of MS, and I just said, I'm done. Check me out. I can't. I don't want to live that way. I
Mhm.
have a 1-year-old son. I don't want him to know me that way. I want him to see me as the father that I was, and I was okay with that. You know,
Yeah.
and got checked into a hospital because the other ones couldn't take care of me. And I got there at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night, and a very young doctor came in, and she said, "You have a thing called Guillain-Barre, and we treat it like the cold here, and you're going to walk out of here." And I hung on to those exact words
Yeah.
for
And
months and months.
now, did you ever see that doctor again?
Never.
That
She
blew
was,
my
I
mind.
listen, she was, honest to God, she was an angel.
Yeah.
Honest to God, it was like, she just told me, you just sit here and you get it figured out, but you don't have to do the figuring. It's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
You just sit here and you work on you. Stop giving, stop thinking, stop trying, stop doing all the things that you've been trying to do. Stop trying to build this life of the picket fence, the cars, the boats, all the things, because the outside is not going to fill you. It's what's inside that matters. And that's where I went.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I'm not in the dating scene. I've been married almost 20 years now. But I do remember probably the most valuable lesson I learned way back when I was like, dating sucks. I'm horrible at it. Nobody wants to go
Mm,
out with me. What's the deal? And one of my best friends from college, she had said, Jerry, it's a confidence thing for you. Like
it is.
it's an inside job. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, we're not attracted to how good a guy looks. I mean, that's part of it. But
Mm-mm.
really, like, if you're a totally handsome guy, but you have no, like, you're just filled with insecurities and they come out, we're not attracted to that. If
Nope.
you could be a butt ugly guy, but with all the
Mm-hmm.
confidence in the world, not cockiness, but confidence, we'll find that attractive. I'm like, no
Mm-hmm.
way. And so, yeah, that success, the true happiness in life, I think really does come from within ourselves. I think
100%.
we try to fill it with those outside status symbols, but
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to find somebody who sought status symbols for happiness and was actually happy. I,
Yeah.
I have not
No,
found.
I know a lot of them, and they're
Yeah.
not.
Oh
They,
yeah.
they haven't reached that happiness, and It really is. It's the looking. It's the
Yeah.
searching and saying, okay, so what is it then? Who am I? Who am I really? That's the question that I try to first get people to understand, to ask that question. Because, Jim Carrey put it best, we're just characters. We're just playing characters.
Yeah.
We're not that. And I so related to that because I would watch people come in and out of my hospital room, my brothers, my sister, my father, my wife, and I would just sit there and watch them come in and out, and I'd be like, what are they connected to that I am not anymore?
Yeah.
How can they do that? How can they move their legs like that? Because I'm trying, but it's just not happening. How can they move their fingers? How can they pick that drink up and put the straw in my mouth? How do they do that? What is that? Because it's not Scott. So what am I disconnected from? And that's what I'm gotta find. I gotta find that strength, that power, that God that is inside me, that universal source that lives inside me. And God damn it, I'm going to find it and let it come and let it speak. That's the voice that I need to hear. But the voice that we build of Scott, the voice that we build of Jerry, the voice that, we were named, it's got a pretty strong and very loud voice. And we forget who we are. We just succumb to the character. We think we
Yeah.
are this person. And it's just not true because you're not laying in bed with blood pumping through you and your heart beating and, billions and trillions of cells are interacting with each other and you're snoring away, drool coming out of your mouth, arm hitting
No.
your wife, right? I mean, so who is that?
Yeah.
What is that? So that's what I knew I needed to connect to. And I knew I put myself there because when I laid in that bed in the first probably 2 weeks, I realized, oh my God, 4 months ago, I was on jobs and all I could think about was, I just want all this to end. I just want to go
Yeah.
home. I just want to lay in bed. I just want to let all the struggle, all the anxiety, oh my God, I can never please these people. I just want to go home and lay in bed. I got my wish
Yeah.
and I knew it. If I created that, then I can create a new life. I can become better and I
Yeah.
can become great.
I remember you saying in your book, Finding Ugly, that your life before you were bedridden with this was you were working so hard. If I remember correctly, you were sleeping on the job site.
Yeah.
And, because it's just a waste of time to drive back home, take a rest and
Yeah.
come back. Like I have to be here. And,
Yeah.
how many of us, go through life like that? Like I can't take a day off because everything will fall apart. And
Well, it was all the thinking of what are they thinking? What are my clients thinking? Oh, this Scott Sunderland, he's screwing this all up. Oh, he's doing a terrible job. He's behind. We need to replace him, right? That's what was running in my head 24 hours, like a freight train.
yeah,
Like a freight train, it would come. And of course, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work because I had a paraplegic mindset. It was just so wrought with what are they thinking? They're judging me, but yet they weren't doing that. It was
mm-mm.
me doing that. And isn't that what we do? We worry about what our boss thinks. We worry about what our spouse thinks. Oh my God, he's going to leave me. She's going to leave me. How can she even put up with me?
Yeah.
Or it's just nonsense. And we do it. It's the voice in our head that just keeps doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I've noticed I lead a team of consultants and a learning management system administrator. And I mean, before that, I've led other teams, and I was in the Army as a sergeant. And the one thing I've learned is, well, a couple of things I learned, but the biggest one was my team does way better if I just get out of the way.
Yeah.
They perform better. They get the job done better than I thought I could do it. And they're happier in doing what they're doing. And that just blows my mind. It's like, the less I try to get into their business and to try to convince them what a great leader I am and to convince my boss, look at how tight of a ship I run. It's like, if I just tell them what I need, these are kind of the parameters, and get out of the way and then just take care of me so I can take care of them, everything runs so much better. And it's kind of like, it's not kind of like, but another thing I'm thinking about from what you just said is, like the airline safety briefing that nobody really pays attention to.
Yeah.
except I kind of pay attention because I'm like that guy. It's like, what if the cabin does depressurize on this flight?
Yeah, right. What do I do then?
It's no different from any other briefing I've done,
Yeah.
unless you're like on Southwest Airlines and then they make it comedy gold, and that's
Yeah.
then I pay attention for that. But the one thing they tell you when those masks drop and you're with your family is put your mask on you first.
Mhm.
And because, I mean, if you don't, you pass out and then you're no good to anybody. Then go ahead and choose which child has the higher earning potential and put the mask on that one. And that might be,
Mhm.
yeah, one of the
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you take care of you so you can take care of
Yeah.
others, and not having to impress them. How many people go into debt because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses?
Oh, it's just so it's just an epidemic. It really is
Yeah,
just an epidemic because everybody, that's what you do, right? Well, he got a new car, and if I have to show my worth, I have to get a new car. And of
yeah,
course, Ford and everybody else all know that. So they're going to create those new cars.
hmm
And but it really is it's really it's a it's a new mindset. And I think I love kind of what has happened in this last year of people are kind of waking up. They're kind of starting to understand here, hey man, I need to live a life. I really, this is really what my life has become. I'm just kind of locked up, and I can't, I don't have free will. And I think that's what this pandemic has kind of done for us, is shown people that they do have free will. That I mean, for me, listen, I got to be honest, this was one of the greatest moments of my entire life because, um, M had said to me right before everything started to lock down, we were in Pennsylvania, and she
hmm
said, get me out of here for 3 days before we get locked down. Now I have a company, I have 40 guys that work for me. And I'm like, are you insane? I can't do that. Well, I already booked the flights, right? We're leaving tomorrow. And I kicked and screamed the whole way to the airport, but I got on the plane, landed in Florida. We were in Florida for 3 days. And I'm like, I can't go back. And
yeah,
we didn't leave for geez, almost 4 months. And then we came back and we packed our stuff up and we said, bye, we're leaving. We're moving back there, because the whole time we were in sun, we were in paradise for us. It was just, and so again, it really is how you view it all, but that person that's stuck in that movie that just keeps replaying every day,
yeah.
that is a difficult thing to see through until you realize, oh, wait a minute, somebody else has done that. Somebody else has, left that and they're okay. I mean, they're breathing. Everything didn't just fall apart. Not only that, that's where the rubber meets the road, is when you do leave that prison. Because it's a prison.
Yeah.
Once you do, and it's the prison in your mind.
Yeah, self-imposed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's self-imposed. You're creating the events that show up that just keep you, running on the treadmill. And man, if I can get off this thing, my God, I could just lay in bed for a little while, and it's like, well, be careful about that one, because I did that.
Yeah. Well, if your body needs rest and you're not giving it, your body will give you a rest.
And
And
your mind needs it.
yeah,
More than anything, your mind really, really needs to understand that you're a creator, man. You really are a creator of everything you experience in your life. And listen, I know that so fundamentally. I went through one night, when I was in the hospital bed. It was like a voice, something nudged me, woke me up, and a voice spoke right to me and said, what if all of this is just inside you? What if everything you see, this room, the TV, the clock on the wall, the window, what if all of that is just inside you? You're not looking out into a world that you exist in. What if it's just inside you? And that gave me the idea to kind of run after. Like, okay, so let me paint a new picture. Let me create a new fishbowl. Let me create a new life. Let me just focus on what I really, truly want. I just want to be free. I just want to be happy. And let me go paint that picture for once, not the car, not the house, not the, what are these people going to think of me? Right.
Yeah.
Because we're all doing that. We're all doing that.
I think that's what I find so attractive to the idea of minimalism. So there's, the minimalists, they've got their own podcast. They had a special on Netflix, and I mean, they do take it to an extreme as far as like no branded clothing, only a few outfits and so on. And I think even on top of that, like everything they own that they take with them when they go anywhere, it fits in a duffel bag that can be carried, and maybe a carry-on backpack or something. And I know for a lot of folks that's extreme, but then you look at what they gain from that. They have freedom. And for them, what freedom looks like is being able to travel where they want, when they want, with whom they want, and not being bound by, oh, wait, but I've got a mortgage I got to pay. Okay, well, I can't go because I got to earn a paycheck to pay for the mortgage. Or, if it's not a mortgage, I rent a place and I need to pay the bills like electricity, cable, and internet, and so on. And, I've got to have the subscription to some meal club or a subscription to a book club. And it's like, why? Is that
so true?
Yeah. Is it giving you the excitement you want, or is it creating those prison walls? And, and the answer is different for everybody. It's, again, what you want to create for your life. And, but there may be things in our lives that we really use to hold ourselves back, whether we know it or not. So
they're the anchors. I mean, a mortgage is an anchor. I mean, and listen, I get it. I owned homes my whole life. I mean, that's what I did. I would buy something and I would fix it up and I would live in it, flip it, whatever. And I loved the creation of it, but then it got boring. It got boring for me. So it's like, what's next? But it was still my home. And when we went to Florida, we literally had 3 or 4 days worth of clothes. And you talk about minimalism, that was that. And we didn't need anything else. We couldn't get anything else because there was nothing open to get.
Yeah.
So we just wore the clothes we had, and we weren't doing it purposefully. We were just living that. We were just like, hey man, we're kind of free right now. Business is shut down. That's all right. I don't mind that. Gives me a little break. And hey, let's see what this is like. And it was just so freeing. And I think you have two different camps, people that fell into the fear of the whole thing that was going on, which really tells a story of people that are falling into the fear of living a life.
Yeah.
Because we're worried about our spouse, we're worried about our kids, how our kids are doing and all that. And it's just really like the other side of it was people making, hey, this is kind of a break. This is like a long vacation. So let's go have fun. Let's do things that we've never done before. We may have to do them in these 4 walls, but let's do it, Yeah. So it's really interesting when you talk to people about how they've gotten through this,
Yeah. And how they've grown or changed as a result.
Yeah.
Of it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's opened up a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, from a practical perspective, so somebody who really does feel stuck in that rut, what are some practical tips that you can give them to help them, get reacquainted with who they are? Like what's like a process or an exercise they can take themselves through?
First thing I would tell anybody is to meditate. And I'll back up because some people say, oh, I do that. I meditate. And other people like, oh, well, that's a little too woo-woo for me. You know what I mean? All meditation is just to sit quiet. That's it. So that would be my, the first step to the first step would be to just get your mind quiet and really stop the voice in the mind, which is impossible, but understand that it's just a voice that is telling you the same story that you learned when you were, 0 to 6 years old. Whatever that story was, your parents yelling at each other, whatever, you are just reliving those moments. If you can just be aware of that and to watch what you think, watch what you say. We say really dumb things. I can't afford that. I can'ts. And listen, I still do it. It just keeps us in that energy of I can't. Your mind is a supercomputer. It is what you feed it. So be careful of the diet that you put into your mind, because it is going to run with it. It is the CEO, the end of the table at the boardroom of you. And it has all its emotions on either side of the table that know it's going to get a reaction. Mind doesn't care if it's a good thing, bad thing, there is no good and bad to the mind. Its job is to get the body to feel. If I can get you to feel scared, that is going to be such a reaction to you. Your body's going to thrive on fear. So by understanding those simple principles, you can start to slow the process down of the mind, and you can become aware of, oh, wait a minute, I know what's going on here. I'm kind of stepping back in time, going back to the habit here. So what do I really want in this moment? I need to go swing on a swing right now. I need to go play football right now. I need to get outside in the sun, lay flat, and let the sun soak me up. When we do that, it stops that. It stops the merry-go-round running out of control. So that would be the first two things I would suggest to people, and to just keep looking, keep searching, keep listening to people's stories of overcoming, because stories are the magic of our time. They really are. They really are. When you hear somebody that has overcome odds that are just, that's impossible, and they did it, that gives you hope. That definitely gives you a road to follow. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
And I know that was a lot, but that's okay.
It's really nice, especially hearing those stories of others who have overcome. It's like the first person to run the sub 4-minute mile, right? I know it's a cliche story that's told a lot of times. However,
So
there's
true.
a lot. Yeah, exactly. There's so much truth in it that before that man had run that sub 4-minute mile, people truly believed that your heart would burst and you would die. And he's like, all right, well, hold my beer. I'm sure that's not how it happened, but it could have.
Yep.
Before he actually ran it for a record, he probably had a night of like, I can do it. Here, hold that. And did it. But then when it became known, like, hey, we really can run a 4-minute mile or less and not die or explode. Well, let me try. And now it's just a common thing. Like if you want to run in the Olympics for any kind of event that's a distance one, you probably run a 4-minute mile or better as a result. And that's because somebody, or like flying, if God wanted us to fly, he'd given us wings.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if he gave you the capacity to build wings and create those wings and then fly yourself? And you're like, nah, that's a dumb idea. And then Michelangelo starts drawing pictures of it. And well, even further than that, the Greeks had the story of Icarus. So the idea was there. And then the Wright brothers eventually actually made it happen. And now we fly everywhere and don't even think twice about it. And it's just, I mean, if somebody is thinking, well, inspirational stories are just, like you said, woo woo.
Woo woo.
There is value in it though. Like, the reason why
so much so.
Yeah, I love having guests on here because each person has a unique story that they've overcome. I mean, you're officially the first person who has overcome a paralysis, and you're moving about. I mean, I'm watching you on this screen right now, and you're moving just fine. Yeah, fingers are moving, jazz hands, everything.
Jazz hands. I got the whole thing.
And it can be done, and it's just whatever we're facing right now. Just like you said, if we take that time to slow down, get silent, identify those I can't statements that we're really feeding ourselves.
Well, and we get fed them. I mean, when people in some of our coaching courses, I'll have somebody said, oh, and I was watching the news the other day, and I mean, I go ballistic. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would you do that? Why don't you just put a gun in your mouth? I mean, seriously, why would you do that? You are a product of what you feed this thing, and you are feeding doom and gloom. You are feeding, I am a victim. You are just feeding yourself with fear constantly. Well, there was a person shot down the street the other day. How do you know that? If you don't tune into that, you're not going to experience that. Get in the sun. Go ride a bike.
Yeah.
Go play toys with your kids. Do something different and not take in that, because I'll be honest with you, our body craves it. It's like chocolate. Fear is like chocolate. Once you taste it, it gets your body to react and you want more of it.
Wow.
And it's stress, anxiety, it's all the same. And pretty soon you're just living in this toxicity and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it until suddenly you have this moment, this awakening, lack of a better term. And that's a little woo woo, I know. But it's kind of this thing of, oh, and then that wakes you up. And it's like, maybe I can do a little bit better. You know, you have every single thing that Tom Brady has. Everything. You have the 10 fingers, you have the toes, you have the knees, you have the legs, you have, and you know, here's a guy who was in the draft and everybody looked at him as, well, he can't run. His arm isn't that great. He's kind of gangly. And I don't know, but he had something. He had confidence. And he said to Tom, to Kraft, when he said, listen, I'm going to prove to you that this was the greatest decision that your franchise has ever made. And
Wow.
that is my goal as a third string quarterback coming onto a team, right?
Yeah.
6th round draft pick. But we have all of that, the same thing. And it's just, man, if you can feed you, you know, be the guardian of your mind, take in the right stuff. You know, my favorite, honest to God, I swear to you, I listen to it probably at least once a week. I have outtakes or segments of Seabiscuit, the movie.
Really?
I love that horse, Jerry. I am in love because that horse is me, the consummate underdog, the one, and we all are underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And when you relate to that, like, no, I can. They're telling me I can't start a business, but I know I can. I know I can do that. So many people have been told that, well, he's just crazy. Steve Jobs, yeah, he's a nutcase. He's a nutcase. Henry Ford, yeah, that guy is in that barn building something he said is going to ride around with no horses attached. I mean, it just goes on and on and on of people that were told they couldn't do it. And they said, oh, yeah, exactly like you just said. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Yeah. And I'm the proof that you can do it. That mountain came because I can climb it to show you that you can too. That's what I love. And that, man, if that doesn't inspire you, you have to be dead. You have to be dead.
Yeah. I think one of my greatest, not greatest, but one of my more memorable moments when I was serving in the Army was at the very beginning of my career. I mean, I've had other events in the Army, but one that I always draw inspiration from and kind of use as the lesson I like to share is I found out with like 2 or 3 weeks left in basic training that there was a dead pool for the 64 of us. And if you don't know what a dead pool is, it's where they're betting on who dies and how they die.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a dead pool in my platoon, 64 of us. Turns out there was only one name in the dead pool. It was mine.
No way.
Out of 64 guys, they all agreed Dugan is the one who's going to die. So let's decide when and how. And they had everything from heat stroke to he's going to get shot in the head during the ranges. He's going to tick somebody off and get into a fight and die. He's going to just die of dehydration, everything. And I didn't know this until like 2 or 3 weeks out. But I just noticed, like, as we went further and further into the training course, it was a 9-week course, I would just get more phrases like effing Dugan, I hate you, and then they'd walk off. It turns out these were the guys losing money. And they were losing the bet. They lost whatever they put into the pool. And at the end, like, one of my buddies was like, hey, Jerry, I just need to confess something to you. And it's just him and I cleaning the barracks. And he's just like, I'm sorry. I didn't know you better. This is a little awkward because we're just 2 dudes in the barracks alone. What are you driving at? And that's when he told me about the dead pool. And I'm like, oh, you guys all bet on me to die? And then I just kind of puffed up. I was like, well, let's make sure everybody loses their money.
Yeah, right.
So, I never found out who ran the dead pool, but there was a couple of smiles at the end of the cycle. Wow. I think they came into a windfall of cash or something. But it's just overcoming that person telling you no, you can't, I think is probably one of the greatest triumphs anybody can have. And each one of us has an I can't story that, you know, they're just being told, and usually from somebody they love or know that told them you'll.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, they're the ones that pack the most punch because
yeah,
number one, I think most people, families that they'll go right to their family, hey, I have this great idea. Well, I didn't have that great idea.
yeah.
So if you do it, then that means I didn't do it. So that's a terrible idea.
Hmm.
And we don't understand that's why they react the way they react, because
Yeah,
if you become great, then that means that
exactly.
you're not great, and you want to be great. So if he doesn't become great, then there's no pressure on me to become great.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's that fear in ourselves, or not in ourselves, but like sharing our dream with others exposes
Yeah,
their fears and
it,
their own limitations. And
without a doubt,
so
without a doubt.
once we
That's
recognize that that's that backlash coming at us,
Yeah,
it's not about us, it's
and
about them. But
yeah, and it is. Again, you have to be the guardian of your mind, and you have to be the guardian of your direction. I don't love to say dreams because it makes it too far out there. I like direction.
yeah, I
So
like that.
I know where Colorado is. I know how to get to the road that's going to get me to the road that's going to get me to the road that's going to get me to Colorado.
Yeah.
I just need to get on the first road. I just need to get the trucking gear, take a step, get to that road, and eventually Colorado is going to come into view because I'm just going to constantly take a step. People think I need to know all the steps in order to get to Colorado. No, you just need to know one and take it, because by taking the one step, you are closer to Colorado than you were a minute ago where you didn't take the step. So if you want to own a sandwich shop, you got to take one step. Whatever that step is for you, you know, where the supplier is, or where am I going to sell my sandwiches? You just need to know one thing. And then suddenly, instead of you trying to make all the steps start coming to you. It's an
Yeah.
amazing thing that happens. That has happened to me so many times because I was lost in the passion, in the purpose of the creation, not I'm going to be sitting at a counter at my sandwich shop and there's going to be, tons of customers lined out the door. No, I'm just going to make a really good sandwich.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's where it starts, right?
Yeah. I love that because, I mean, on any path that we're on, I mean, you're not going to see that third bend on the path until you get past the first two. And you got to
Yep.
go forward to see get
Yep.
past those. So now, if people want to get more of Scott and they want to get more of the Freedom Project 222, where can they go?
Well, you can email me at scott@thefreedomproject222.com, and I'm sure I'll screw all these up, but I'm sure you'll put them in the notes. To get my book, Finding Ugly, they can, that's on Amazon. You can go to our website, which is thefreedomproject222.com. And honestly, the best thing for people is to look us up on Facebook, The Freedom Project. We give away so much free tips, free ideas, free inspiration. A lot of our students are on there and they are living examples of the lives that they have created for themselves. We help them. We don't do it for them. And ownership is a big deal in creating. You are literally creating a new person for yourself. And that is a great way, is through our Facebook page, The Freedom Project. And just know that, hey man, it's possible. There's people out there, and a lot more than you think, that are really living their passion. They're living their dream, and why not you? I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, and I know it sounds kind of whatever, but it's so true. It's like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to get so bad that the room is on fire to the point where you have to jump through the flames. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till it gets to that point. And I think our kids need to know that. Our kids need to know that. We need to stop doing everything for our kids and let them find their own selves through their failures, through their successes, and Yeah, yeah, it's time to step in.
Perfect. Perfect. That's the perfect note to end on right there. Scott, it was great to have you on Beyond the Rut. I can't wait to have M on here as well as Simon, the other two members of your team.
You'll love them.
If they're just extensions of what you're delivering, this is going to be awesome for everybody who is listening right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I'm really happy to be here.